Hey everybody, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. You know, as resellers, we often think of things like bubble wrap and air pillows or air packets as our friend, and rightfully so, because in most instances, they do protect our products from getting damaged during the shipping process. However, as with anything, there's a right way to use something and a wrong way to use something. And you may put together a package that you think was just the most incredible packing job ever, and you are unwittingly setting it up to get damaged during the shipping process. And then you're going to get a return and or negative feedback. So we want to prevent that from happening. And so I want to just take you through a scenario to show you how to avoid that from happening and to pretty much make a foolproof as you can package so that it does not get damaged. And the items that I'm thinking about that are most at risk for getting damaged in this process are collectibles like toys. It doesn't have to be toys, could be something else, but anything that goes inside of a thin plastic covering, like a box like this, and or has a plastic window on the outside, these are notorious for getting cracked and indented and creased. And so, you know, especially for collectibles, the whole reason why collectors keep these in the box and don't take them out is because they want to display them. They're like trophies. And so they don't want them to get tarnished or damaged anyway. This is obviously a Star Wars collectible, and lots of hardcore Star Wars collectors out there, and they expect their products to arrive the way they look in your listing. Another product that has a pretty hardcore following and people want them the way they showed up in your listing are the Funko Pops. You've seen me talk about them a lot recently. They come in a thin cardboard, also have a plastic covering on the outside and on one of the sides. This one is from the Epic Funko Pop collection that I made a video on recently. It is all in the profit range at this point, sold tonight for $27.50. It's a Rainbow Batman from the New York 2016 Comic Con. This is in mint condition, and I need to get it to the person who purchased it in the same condition as it looks here. I can't have this getting crushed during transport. So I have an initial layer of protection over it, which is this small layer of bubble wrap. And then, as I showed in a video, which I will link to at the end on how to safely protect Funko Pops when you ship them, I do have a layer of air packets on the bottom, just like these, right on the bottom. And then I have them on two of the sides. Now, in terms of what to do on the other two sides, you could either use air pillows or you could use bubble wrap. It just depends, and you want to use the larger bubbles likely for that, just to give it some extra protection. Those are the ones that look like this here, these larger bubbles compared to those smaller ones. So it just depends on what the amount of space is that's in your box, depending on how big the box is and how big the item is that you're putting inside. So you have to use a little judgment on that depending on the size dimensions. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this, right, and we're going to put it right inside of here. So I'm going to tilt this down so you get a better view of what I'm talking about, so you could, you know, see it a little bit better. So I've got this in here. I've got the window side facing up. Okay, now I'm using a Funko Pop, but you could substitute any item you want that you sell in there. So maybe it's Star Wars toys that you sell a lot of, or something else that has some kind of covering on the outside. It doesn't even, again, have to be a toy. So you put it in there. Now we've got it covered with an initial layer of bubble wrap. Now here's where I'm going to show you is where people will make a big mistake sometimes, is they will put a bunch of these air packet pillows on top like that. And then what they'll do is they'll close it and it'll be poofy right here. Now maybe if it's not poofy and you've got it that it's going well under this line here, then you could be fine, okay? If it's going right underneath this line and it's not popping up a bit. But if it's popping up and it's snug, okay, like this, and you see there's like a little bit of a give, that's when you need to backtrack and come up with a different plan. Because what's going to happen, even though you think that this is protected on all the sides, what's going to happen is over time, when it goes through the Postal Service's shipping network, somewhere along the way, someone's going to throw a big box on top of this thing, or someone's going to mishandle it and is going to push it down. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to push it down, and this plastic piece right here is going to get crushed inwards because the bubble wrap or the air packet was actually too poofy. So in this instance, if these air packets are too poofy and they're creating this kind of, you know, push effect like that, you see that? It's too snug. Okay, it's not closing nicely at the seams. What we want to do is come up with a different plan. So in this instance, we're just going to take these out of here, and we're going to take a thinner layer, which is, we're just going to use this large bubble wrap. Now you can see here it's thinner because if you look at the thickness difference, this is actually thicker than this is right here. This is very thin, okay, right there. This is thick. See the difference? Thin, thick. So instead of putting that on top, what we're instead going to do, and I'm going to lean this over so you can see what I'm talking about, is we're going to take this and we're just going to put this right here, and I'm going to protect, I'll show you, I know it's you can't see exactly that side right now, but I'll show it to you in a second. We're going to protect all the sides by tucking this right here. Then we're going to tuck this down right there, and then we're going to tuck this in right here. So we basically just enveloped it in another layer of bubble wrap, okay? But it's the thicker bubbles, the larger bubbles. Okay, so now you can see that this is neatly protected on all four sides by the larger bubble wrap. And as opposed to when we put these air packets on top, when we try to close it, you see that poofiness that it's going to give us and that tension. You could feel the tension. We don't want that. Here, you don't have that. This is going to nicely close down. Now, we still are going to have a little bit of a space here. So if we want to further protect the item, what I would suggest that you do is you take a little piece of cardboard that you cut out and you put it right there. And then you just take a little piece of tape. So I'll just cut off some right here and just tape it down a little bit, just like that. And then just like that. So this way, now when we close it, if the flaps do press down at all, they're just gonna hit on the cardboard and they're not gonna damage the plastic covering that's underneath it. So you just close that up like this. I'm gonna get my 3-inch tape right here and I'm gonna tape this up. And we'll wrap this up in just a second. Just gonna wrap it up right there. Okay, and I'll wrap the other sides in just a second. But the point is that now we don't have any poofiness on the top. You could see the lid is not popping up at all. If anyone pushes down on this at all, like that or like this, it is not going to damage the item that's underneath. So just be aware of that. Make sure that when you're covering that top layer that you don't have a bunch of tension or that you don't have a little bit of a push up above the seams, because as I mentioned, that is going to likely cause, or it's going to put your product at an increased risk of being damaged, and we absolutely want to avoid that. This system will prevent that from happening. So just remember that going forwards. If you found this helpful, make sure you hit the like button. Also, for additional reselling tips, come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. Drop a comment down below, ask a question. You can interact with me at the Facebook group, and also make sure that you subscribe just to show support for the channel. And I'll see everyone at the next video. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.